Welcome to another Sunday WOAY ABC4 Community Forum, where we talk to community leaders and local success stories to discuss important information that affects all of us here in Southern West Virginia. I'm your host, Brandy Lawrence, and today we're joined by another distinguished guest. Raleigh County Teen Court Administrator Lee Leftwich joins us today to talk more about the Teen Court. Thanks so much for coming back to the forum.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's always been a pleasure to come and talk on the forum, and I've been doing it for 20 some odd years, so I feel like it's part of me to be able to explain my situations and programs that we do in the community. So
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's great to have you. And you always come with so much knowledge. And, for the people out there that may not be familiar with Teen Court, can you explain to them what it's about?
Yes, well, the Raleigh County Teen Court was established 10 years ago, where legislated and at the federal level and the state level said that there need to be more community involvement. So there was an act called Community Act that will allow nonprofits, and not only just as nonprofits, but any organization to be involved with the juvenile justice system. So what we did, because the Muster Project had always been involved with youth since its conception in 1990, and so it was an area that we moved to 14 years ago, that we now have the Raleigh County Teen Court, where a first-time offender under the age of 17 have an opportunity to come to the Raleigh County Teen Court for their disposition to be decided. It's not to have them found innocent or guilty. They're admitted to their guilt, and it's I don't like to use punishment, but it's make them more responsible for their actions. And one of the things that really is a marvel about is that once the individual child completes the sentence that the jury sets, then that foul is not a criminal history against the youth. In other words, it's a chance of having a clean slate. For first-time offenders only. Yes. So it's a wonderful program, and we have several youth that have trained over the years that have been involved, and there are several youth that have gone on to become career lawyers. And I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name, but one is this here recently. His name is Jacob Snuffer. And Jacob has a business on Kenora Street. I'm trying to give him a plug. But he started off as a lawyer with the Raleigh County Teen Court. And it's a prerequisite to becoming a career lawyer. Now, all of the youth really don't want to be lawyers, but those that do, they really dig into it. And it gives you the ability to have an open statement, closing statement, asking questions, cross-examine, and all of that. So you get the atmosphere. We have our program at the Raleigh County Teen Court, so it's in the courtroom setting itself. So when we have our trials, and the individual client and the parents, because the one that can only be involved because it's confidential, when they show up, it's like, oh man, this is real. So the realization of knowing that if you continue down this road, this could be more devastating. Because in the beginning parts of our involvement with them, I explained to them that, I can't make you do anything. And what happens is that once you are involved with this, and that sentence that's been given, we have 90 days to complete it. Not every day, but a period of 90-day span. And then once that's completed, then that foul, how do you use the word foul, is not submitted to have on your criminal history. And that's when it really lighten up. But do all the kids want to be involved? No. Some of them just don't care. They had been damaged so much, I guess, in their adolescent years growing up, and they have this I don't care attitude, and you can't change that. So, but I would say this, out of 10 kids, maybe 2 of them won't be involved. So that's the pretty good numbers that we have, though, yeah.
Yeah, definitely the majority.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be something interesting for people to get involved in, especially teens, to sort of see what a courtroom is like.
Yes, yeah. Well, one of the things that I've learned is that, like with the Boy Scouts, they go to council meetings and things like that. And I'm finding out that the kids who do come, they earn community service hours. So you need that if you plan to go to college, So it's a place you come, you get community service hours. Plus I give incentives. I can't pay them, but I give gift cards, go to the movie, McDonald's, stuff like that, because, for their involvement. I want them to show that, that I appreciate them being involved and that the knowledge that they gain from being involved, because we have I mean, the youth that is there, mainly those that want to be lawyers, I tell them, you have an opinion, and I want you to stick to your opinion, you know, whether it's right or wrong, but it's your opinion. So, I mean, sometimes I let them, you know, I would say argue, but discuss back and forth, you know, just to hear their opinion. Then I'll kind of interject some things to kind of keep them going. But it's really interesting to see them, how they have their own opinions about things, yes.
Awesome. And it's, you know, teaching them how to think as well, you know, think for themselves, but also showing them different points of views and being able to debate each other. So that's really
Because
awesome.
critical thinking is a very, very important part in this. Because what happens is, and it depends on the report that the police officers write. Some of them write a thorough report, some of them just write 1 or 2 sentences. I mean, it's like, calling you shoplifting at Walmart. Okay, so what else happened here? So they have to dig into that. So the defense attorney has an advantage because they can, you know, have a conference with the client and get the whole true story, right? But the prosecuting attorney, that's all they have. So they got to come up with innovative ways to get, you know, the answers that they need to convince the jury to give them the amount of time to get. And about the amount of time, it's not so much as time as hours. And it's anywhere between 0 to 46 hours to do certain things. Write letter of apology, maybe involve in an anger management program, maybe involve in tutoring if they need that. Maybe some family counseling, which we can only recommend, you know, we can't be involved. But whatever would need to make that child change their mindset, you know, at a very early age. And over the years that we've done this, I run across a few of them from time to time. And I always ask them, did you learn anything? Especially the ones that was involved in the system. And most of them have. I mean, I would say that a good 90% of them changed their mindset because reality hit them in the face. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I do get as I go through the community, and those that do know about the teen court or may have heard about it, they say, well, Mr. Leftwich, how come you haven't put this out there more so people would know? Well, my thing is this. If a young child that's kind of inquisitive about doing things, if they know that there's a program that will accept them to be involved, that the crime that they committed, the charge, put it that way, that they committed, that it could be washed away, what would they be doing? You know?
Might be taking advantage.
Yeah, they take advantage of it, you know. So, I mean, even though it's not guaranteed that I would get that particular individual in my teen court, because my referrals come from the magistrate court, Raleigh County Magistrate Court, and the juvenile probation. So they look at the files because they may have prior history that I don't have. Mm-hmm. So they will make a recommendation to refer them to me. Well, then I call, have to talk to the parents, and then the parents will decide whether or not they will want their child to be in it. And I've had some parents that didn't want them to be. They said I was too soft. You know what I mean? I said, well, we're not a punitive type of organization. I'm not going to try to punish your child. I'm going to treat him like a human being, but you know, we don't do that depth within a charge. So they would say, well, I'm going to run them and go to the regular juvenile probation. Well, if they go to the juvenile probation, they have a record. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can't, and I explain it to them, so what is their choice? Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, sending them to juvenile probation, it can be a worse situation for them because, you know, whereas teen court is sort of giving them an opportunity to think about what they've done and to really, like, be in that courtroom setting and understand, like, hey, if I don't, you know, clean up my act, I can be back in here. Yeah. Whereas, you know, you go to a juvenile facility and you're around kids who have done other things. And I don't like to say, you know, kids themselves are bad, but sometimes they've had a bad lot in life and it has affected them and now they don't really know how to be. So you don't want them to be in there with those other kids, especially when teen court is an option.
Exactly. And one of the things that you know, I filed for a substitute teacher for Raleigh County. I've been doing that for years. And one of the things that they've changed is that we have to go online and do different modulars. I mean, it's like going to college, you know. Well, one of the things that was kind of astounding to me, it had a whole big session on trauma. And even though I have, over my years, been involved with juveniles, I've always have been involved in issues where, in conferences, they talk about trauma. But this was really in depth. I mean, they had situations where, kids as young as 6, 7, 8 years of age has been through some very devastating things, and that affect them in school. So once you realize that, you have to have a little, how can you say, a little empathy and sympathy for the youth when they come to your program, because it's not their fault. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we know, and it's very prevalent, that drugs is a big issue in our community, and it affects the kids in so many different ways. And most of the cases that we have gotten within the past couple of years has been vaporing. Okay. And it's astounding to me to know that these kids have ways of getting them, and the parents don't know they even have it. But they're so smart, they're so witty, and somebody get it for them. Yeah. And it's something that I had a few kids that have came through my program for vaporing, and this one little young man, he tried to get off of it, but it had already sinked in. It really took over his body, and he yearned for it because of the young age. Your body is still growing, and give it a chance. So when we do have our teen court, and when the kids that's been sensitive to something like that, I really have some one-on-one conversation with them about things that they need to know that is out there in the world that can harm them for a lifetime. And some of them will take it in, some of them won't, but at least they got the information.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think that was the problem with how vaping got so big, is that a lot of people tried to market it as a safer option. Mm-hmm. Than nicotine and cigarettes, but it's actually more addictive.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, the kids have gotten a hold of it. So, it's really great that you all are, trying to intervene and kind of let them know that's not the way to go and not the way to be. And this could really not even just, your criminal, your freedom is not threatening that, but also your health.
Right.
So,
and that's what I get. Is well, I can do what I want to do, but you're not responsible enough. You're not old enough. You can't make those decisions. Mm-hmm. And media has really gotten these kids to that ideal of thinking, this is me. I can do what I want to do. And parents need to just step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to step up and try to keep them in perspective of knowing that I'm in control until you get of age. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So we're about to go on to our first break. But before we go, do you mind plugging the contact information? So I know that we can't get any of, the people out there into teen court, the way that they want to be. But, if maybe some of the teens out there want to volunteer or want to help out in any sort of way, can they find a way to get in touch with you?
Yes, well, they can contact me at 304-731-6406 or 304-573-7810, which is my personal cell number, or leelefwich67@gmail.com. Awesome. So any of those contacts, I'll be glad to talk to any parent that maybe want to get the child involved, even the kids if they want to get involved, but they're still going to have to go through the parent. Yeah. But, the interest, I've been trying to really get stuff out there to get more kids involved.
Awesome. So hopefully we can attract them in for you, because this is a really great thing, and some people may not know about it, but they may be interested in law. Some teens out there may be interested in the court system, so make sure to get in touch. Make sure to come back after our break. We'll be talking more about teen court and how you all can get involved and help out. Welcome back to Sunday Community Forum. I'm here with Raleigh County Teen Court Administrator Lee Lefwich, and we're talking about everything the teen court does, and we're actually about to talk about how juvenile justice got started. So can you give us a little bit of info on that?
Yeah, well, juvenile justice got started by a lady named Lucy Flowers in Chicago, Illinois, in the year of 1899, because prior to that, any individual who got into trouble was thrown into jail, into a prison system. And it was some kids they say was as young as 7 years of age from some of the things that they have done. And it could have been shoplifting, fighting, whatever. It was a crime that was against society. So Ms. Flowers, she was president of the Chicago's Women's Club. So she had a lot of influence. But one of the things that so and so marvel about Lucy Flowers is that she was an adopted child. So you would think that someone who have been in a situation like that understand the depth of a child being thrown into a system that they didn't ask for. So with her involvement and her contacts, and because I'm quite sure it took years to get it done, but in 1899 it was founded, the juvenile court system was founded, and so was started to have a system that was separate from the adult system. So without someone like Lucy Flowers, who was an advocate for juvenile justice, to pursue it, that we would have a system that I would be very afraid to say what it would be like today. In a modern day society, yes.
Definitely, yeah, because and it's really interesting how, like, as a child who was in the foster care system as an adopted child, and how you compare that to being in the prison system.
Right.
Because it is, you are still a warden of the state, and you are at the mercy of other
individuals,
people.
right? And you know, foster care. There is some scary stories about foster care. You know, I mean, some of the families you get into, because, and I understand, don't get me wrong, I understand the meaning of foster care, and I think it's a thing that is very needed, but you got to have the right mix, you know, the right child, because now, when a child go into that foster care atmosphere, look what they're bringing. Look at the luggage that they're bringing. So that foster parent has to be more understanding about the situations and not just think about the money that they get. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with people like Lucy Flowers, you know, back centuries ago that had this foresight, that's why juvenile justice is around today. But I must say this: juvenile justice is not, I can say, been utilized the purpose that it's supposed to be. Juvenile justice was invented, was created, was designed to be rehabilitation. That a child get into trouble, they'll have wraparound service, and then they'll know not to do this again. That's not happening. You know, as we were speaking earlier, the kids get involved in the system, and then they're going to the facilities, and they're around other kids who have a lot of luggage that they've brought in, and it feeds on them. Because one of the things that I found out, and I'm quite sure you know as well, everybody wants to belong. Want to be loved, want to belong. And so you will gravitate to anything that offers that to you, if that's the atmosphere you've been in. And so what happens, some kids want to belong because they want to be bad, they want to be scary, you know, they want people to prefer them. But why? Because in the end results, you're going to lose. But we know that for prevention and intervention is the key. Prevention and intervention has picked up because, you know, there's a term, and I'm quite sure you've heard it, school to prison pipeline.
Yes.
And there's very much evidence of that, because when a child acts up in school, there's evidence that that child eventually is going to end up in the system. So that's where school counselors and social workers and all need to do wraparound services and invite community into the school so they can help them with the situation, because they can't do it all. I was talking to a lady in the shopping center just this past week, and she knew me from a teen court involvement and stuff, and she said, it's a wonderful thing that you are doing. I said, yeah, but it takes more than just me. You know, I'm just one person trying to do my part. And she said, yeah, it takes a whole village to raise a child. I said, exactly. Because I can remember coming up, Brandy, when I grew up over in East Park on 7th Street, and every parent on 7th Street was our parent. Mm-hmm. You know, if you got into trouble, they can spank and bring you home, you got another spanking. You know? But that's not here today anymore, you know, and that's what we're losing. We are losing because people in the community is not being part of the community. Churches is not being a part of the community. And so until this madness turn around, we're going to be faced with this from time to time to go on. You're right.
Absolutely, absolutely. There. So if anybody out there, you know, is watching and they're like, hey, well, I want to know how I can help our community's kids and what we can do, what would you recommend for them to do?
Well, one of the things that I would recommend for them to do, if there's any organization out there, such as, you know, we have the new I want to say the YMCA, but the Soldiers Memorial, yeah, and they have a gym out there, and they're asking for people to be involved, things of that nature, to get involved at the churches, with the youth groups, you know, Boy Scouts, and at the schools you have the programs that deal with the kids for honor society, and those having a youth be involved in that helps them to be a better citizen, not just to be sitting at home playing on a video game, but that too, to a degree, but monitor it, because kids want to have fun, and I understand, but people should be involved in things that is motivated for a child to have development years other than their parents, because sometimes kids will listen to other people before they listen to their parents. Are you my mom? You my dad? A neighbor down the street or someone that they mentor to will be a big help. So to get involved with anything that deals with prevention and intervention, that's one of the key things. And myself, have been involved in it for over 30-some years, and it's not something that I dread. I love it, especially when you've have been involved with youth and you see them grow up. We had a program, it was the after-school program, and it's amazing because you don't really think about it, but at least I don't, that some of the youth that I had in that program when they was 13, 14, 15 years old, they're now adults and have their own kids. I mean, I try to follow some of them on Facebook. I mean, they're saying, well, my son and my daughter's graduating from college. Like, wow, it's been that long. But good that they was involved. And I can't say we did 100%, but I know we did have a stencil in that to guide them, and that they did raise their kids in the right way. And hopefully that would generate, a better generation as time go by.
Absolutely. Yeah, and sometimes it only takes like one simple thing. Like sometimes you don't know what it is that you could say to a child that can change their life.
Right.
So, any of these things, just mentoring, just being there, being, a shoulder to cry on, being an ear, could seriously help them.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
I'm sure, the youth that, you get to perform some of these roles in teen court, they're moved. They feel a certain way, about what they're doing, and they're starting to, think more about what they want to do in their lives. So how do you usually come across some of these teens that, come to the courts?
Well, basically, kids would bring other kids, but I'm struggling a little bit now to really get as many kids involved as I generally have had. I used to have between 14 and maybe 20 kids involved. But this year, it's kind of slumbered down. I already have three youth involved. I'm training them to be lawyers. But what I'm trying to do is try to get kids that need community service hours, that I can get a pool of kids just to be on my jury. Because, you may not want to come to the practice session every Tuesday. And I can understand that. But if I can get a pool of kids that will want to be on the jury, because they should know nothing about the case at all. They should come and they hear it and then they'll know what to do. So hopefully, through my efforts, when I'm trying to contact different individuals, groups and stuff of that nature, schools, church groups, to see if they could get a pool of kids that will, 3 or 4 kids, I get, enough, at least 7 to 12, that would be in a pool that I can pull them in to be on the jury. So I'm trying that strategy, and so far I have made a few contacts, and I think I can be able to convince some of the parents to let their kids be involved in it. And what happens, I know, certain days of the week is a challenge too. So I have the Raleigh County Teen Court on Tuesdays from 5 to 6 to do my trainings. But if I have a trial, I can use Wednesday and Thursday, because Friday's out of the way, Monday's sometime out of the way, because there's other groups having different things. I've run into that with like Boy Scouts. See, they meet on Monday, so I can't have a Monday. And then Tuesdays, they have the ROTC. So I've had kids who's involved in it, but they go to ROTC. But so what I'm trying to do is maybe get those kids in ROTC and other organizations that will want to be involved with teen court, and I'll move the trial to a Wednesday or Thursday evening to accommodate them. And then the trial doesn't start at 6 p.m. So they give them a chance to come home, get settled, and back in school. But I do know I had quite a few youth that was coming in from Shady Springs. Well, with the construction of the road out there, man, traffic is terrible. So, but maybe, I can get the kids to be involved with the jury, and they can come a little later, because about 5:30 traffic kind of slaps her out. Mm-hmm. But it's mainly traffic going out towards Shady, not really so much as coming in, but they're stopping in both ways. And it's gonna be a great thing when they get it done, but it does hamper a lot of the traveling to and fro, because I just get a lot of kids from used to be from out that area. Yeah. And some of the other schools like Independence High and Miller School and Liberty and Trout Hill, they counted for out, and I think sometimes with transportation is a problem with them. But I've also offered the schools, I would come to the schools to train the kids, have them involved, and then at least they can come to the trial. So I'm doing everything I can to get you, because it's a wonderful thing. It's a good wholesome program, because like I say, when the kids are involved with the juvenile Raleigh County Teen Court, I tell them the purpose of the Raleigh County Teen Court is for rehabilitation. And I make them, understand that we're not here to punish, it's to rehabilitate, and you've been a part of that. And one of the things that I do, I give a little survey just to see where they are and what they know, and then we go from there. But one of the things I ask the question, who's the most important individual in the courtroom? Well, most of them say the judge, most of them say the lawyer. No, it's the jury, because the jury makes the decision. So they're the most important element in the courtroom. The judge, he just presides. The attorneys, they just present, but the jury do the decision making. So they're the most important entity in the court system.
Interesting. Interesting to know. So hopefully with that information, we can, entice some more kids to come out and be a part of that jury.
Yes.
But we're about a minute or so out, but before we go, do you mind plugging that contact information one more time?
Yes, it's Lee Leftwich, email address is leelefwich67@gmail.com. My phone number is 304-731-6406 or 304-573-7810, and you can call me anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming back to the forum and giving us all this awesome information. And thank you all for joining us this Sunday. Be sure to tune in next Sunday, where we speak to another local success story about important things going on here in Southern West Virginia. Have a happy Sunday.